First Contact and Deception. The massive Kraxan warship emerged from fold space like a predator breaking the ocean's surface. Its crystalline hull captured and reflected the light of Earth's sun, creating an ominous display that was visible even from the ground. Supreme Commander Vax stood on his command deck, mandibles clicking in anticipation as he studied the blue planet below. Another primitive world for the collection, he announced to his bridge crew, his voice carrying the casual confidence of someone who had performed this task countless times before. The ship's sensors swept across Earth's surface, detecting what appeared to be basic satellite technology and crude nuclear weapons, barely into their atomic age. This will be simple. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, in a facility unknown to 99.9% of Earth's population, Admiral Helena Walsh watched the alien vessel's arrival on quantum-entangled displays that shouldn't exist for another century. She took a slow sip from her steaming coffee and allowed herself a small smile. Right on schedule, she said to her assembled staff in the Strategic Defense Initiative's primary command center. The facility, carved into the bedrock beneath 2 miles of ice, housed humanity's greatest secrets. Initiate Protocol Shadowfall. Around the world, carefully hidden sensors tracked the Kraxan vessel while appearing to be nothing more than weather satellites or communication relays. Humanity had learned the art of technological camouflage to perfection over the last 50 years, ever since they detected the first signs of the Kraxan Empire's expansion. The Kraxan transmission arrived exactly as their intelligence had predicted. Primitive species of Sol 3, the message began, transmitted in what they believed to be an impressive display of their translation technology. Your world has been chosen for integration into the glorious Kraxan Empire. Resist and face obliteration. You have one planetary rotation to submit. In the United Nations Security Council's secret bunker facility, representatives from Earth's major powers gathered around a holographic display of the Kraxan vessel. Director James Harrison of the Unified Defense Intelligence Agency stepped forward. The Kraxan Empire has conquered 17 worlds in the past decade, he explained, though everyone present knew the briefing by heart. Each time, they follow the same pattern. They believe their technological superiority gives them the right to rule. Their arrogance is their weakness. Admiral Walsh's voice came through on the secure quantum channel. All defense networks are in position. Quantum shields are operational but inactive. The Helios array is charged and ready. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. The UN Secretary-General nodded gravely. Send our response. The message Earth transmitted back was carefully crafted to appear primitive yet defiant. We are a peaceful world, but we will defend ourselves. We request peaceful dialogue as equals. On his command deck, Supreme Commander Vax laughed, the sound echoing through the crystalline chamber. Equals? Their most advanced vessels can barely reach their own moon. He turned to his weapons officer. Show them the price of defiance. Target their lunar outpost. The Kraxan ship's main weapon charged, its crystal matrix glowing with devastating power. The beam lanced out, striking the lunar surface where humans had apparently built a small research station. The structure exploded spectacularly, but something was wrong. Supreme Commander, his sensor officer called out, confusion evident in his voice. The debris, it's not consistent with an actual facility. These readings suggest... Before he could finish, new signals began appearing on their screens. The ice sheets of Antarctica were splitting open, revealing massive launch facilities. The moon's surface rippled as holographic camouflage fell away, exposing gun batteries and shipyards that had been hidden in plain sight. In her command center, Admiral Walsh stood, her expression stern. They've taken the bait. All units, execute Operation Thunderfall. Show them why you never underestimate humanity. Quantum drives ignited across the solar system as humanity's real fleet emerged from hiding. Sleek warships, their hulls made of materials that absorbed rather than reflected light, moved with impossible precision. Each vessel represented decades of reverse-engineered alien technology, combined with humanity's unique innovations. Impossible! Vax roared as his sensors registered weapons and defenses far beyond what a primitive species should possess. Their technology, how did they hide this? The answer came in the form of Admiral Walsh's transmission to the Kraxan vessel. We've been watching you for 50 years, studying your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We tried to offer peace. Remember that. All units, weapons free. The space around Earth erupted in a display of military might that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. The war had begun, but not the one the Craxan Empire had expected. This was humanity's war, fought on humanity's terms, and they had been preparing for it for generations. The first shots of this conflict would echo across the stars, carrying a simple message to any who would threaten Earth. Humanity was done hiding. The hidden arsenal. Supreme Commander Vax's bridge erupted in chaos as damage reports flooded in from all sectors. The human weapons weren't just advanced, they were specifically designed to target weaknesses in Craxan technology that should have been impossible for a primitive species to know about. Multiple breaches in the quantum shield matrix, his defensive officer shouted. Their weapons, they're phase-shifting through our barriers. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Admiral Walsh activated a holographic display showing the battle in real time. Deploy the Atlas units, she commanded. Her officers exchanged knowing glances. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. From hidden bases across Earth's oceans, massive figures began to rise. Each Atlas unit stood over a kilometer tall, their surfaces covered in metamaterial camouflage that had kept them hidden from even the most advanced alien sensors. They weren't just weapons platforms. They were humanity's ultimate deterrent, walking cities of war that housed entire fleets within their frames. By the First Empire, Vax whispered as his sensors detected the rising giants. What are these creatures? The answer came in the form of action rather than words. The Atlas unit's chest plates split open, revealing launching bays that held thousands of autonomous combat drones. Each drone was controlled by a quantum AI, capable of making combat decisions faster than any organic being could process thought. Director Harrison stood in the UN bunker, watching the deployment with grim satisfaction. For centuries, humanity fought itself, he explained to the assembled leaders. While regrettable, those conflicts taught us something invaluable: how to hide our true capabilities until the perfect moment. The Atlas units moved with impossible grace for their size, their movements guided by gravity manipulation technology that humanity had developed in secret. From their shoulders, electromagnetic pulse cannons charged up, targeting the Craxan fleet's communication arrays with surgical precision. Sir, Vax's communication officer called out in panic. We're losing contact with the rest of the fleet. Their weapons, they're not just disrupting our systems, they're rewriting them. Inside each human drone, quantum computers ran invasion algorithms that had been perfected through decades of preparation. They didn't just attack the Craxan ship systems, they turned them against their masters. Admiral Walsh's voice was calm as she issued her next order. Initiate Project Prometheus. Across Earth's surface, hidden silos opened in deserts, mountains, and ocean floors. But these didn't launch missiles. Instead, they released swarms of nanobots into the atmosphere. The microscopic machines began assembling themselves in orbit, forming structures that the Craxan sensors couldn't comprehend. What sorcery is this? Vax demanded as he watched the swarms take shape. Not sorcery, Walsh's voice came through on all frequencies. Science. While you conquered peaceful worlds, we prepared for war in ways you couldn't imagine. The nanobots formed massive arrays in orbit, each one a quantum field generator capable of manipulating the very fabric of space-time. Humanity had hidden its greatest achievements not through deception, but by making them too incredible for their enemies to believe possible. On the lunar surface, what appeared to be natural craters transformed, revealing themselves as massive particle accelerator rings. The entire moon had been converted into a weapons platform so ambitious that even most of Earth's population didn't know of its existence. All orbital defense platforms, execute attack pattern Delta, Walsh commanded. Show them why humanity survived its own violent history. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. Human ships moved with perfect coordination. Their tactics evolved from thousands of years of warfare. Each maneuver was calculated to exploit weaknesses that the Craxan didn't even know they had. The Atlas units proved to be more than just weapons platforms. They were mobile command centers, coordinating the human fleet's actions through quantum-entangled networks that couldn't be jammed or intercepted. Their very presence represented humanity's philosophy of war, overwhelming force combined with unparalleled strategic flexibility. Supreme Commander, Vax's second-in-command spoke quietly. We need to retreat. These humans, they're not just fighting us. They're systematically dismantling everything we thought we knew about warfare. In the Antarctic Command Center, Walsh watched as the Kraxan fleet began to break formation. Hold positions, she ordered her forces. Let them retreat. They need to carry our message back to their empire. As the surviving Kraxan ships prepared to jump to fold space, Walsh transmitted one final message. This was just our first line of defense. Return with your empire's full might if you wish, but know this. What you've seen today is merely a fraction of humanity's true capabilities. We offered peace. Remember that when you tell your leaders what happened here. The Kraxan ships vanished into fold space, leaving behind a graveyard of destroyed vessels and damaged pride. But this wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. Director Harrison turned to the UN Security Council members. Phase 1 is complete. Now we prepare for their return. They'll come back with everything they have. Admiral Walsh smiled as she studied the battle damage reports. Good, she said simply. That's exactly what we've been counting on. The real war was about to begin, and humanity had even greater surprises waiting to be unveiled. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth's history of conflict had created not just warriors, but masters of the art of war itself. Counterstrike. 2 weeks after humanity's first revelation of power, the Kraxan Empire's response arrived. 5,000 warships dropped out of fold space, their crystalline hulls blocking out the stars themselves. This wasn't just a fleet. It was the largest military force the Empire had ever assembled. Admiral Walsh watched their arrival from a command center that now orbited Jupiter, hidden within the gas giant's swirling storms. Right on schedule, she noted, turning to Fleet Commander Rezakon. Begin Operation Stormbreaker. What the Kraxan Empire didn't realize was that humanity had already infiltrated their worlds. For decades, human agents disguised as merchants, refugees, and maintenance workers had been gathering intelligence and planting dormant quantum tech throughout their territory. High Admiral Zextar, commander of the Imperial Armada, stood confidently on his flagship's bridge. No primitive species can stand against this force. Begin the attack pattern. His orders were cut short as hundreds of their ships suddenly lost power. Throughout the Imperial fleet, quantum bombs that had been smuggled aboard years ago activated simultaneously. Each device was smaller than a grain of sand, yet capable of disrupting the crystalline technology that powered their vessels. Multiple ships reporting critical failures, his tactical officer shouted. Our systems are being overwritten by something. That something was Aria. Autonomous Reactive Intelligence Array, humanity's most advanced AI system. While the Kraxan relied on predictable combat algorithms, Aria evolved its strategies in real time, learning and adapting faster than organic minds could comprehend. From Jupiter's orbit, Walsh gave the command. All Ghost Fleet units, emerge and engage. The space around the Kraxan Armada rippled as hundreds of human warships dropped their quantum camouflage. These weren't the defensive vessels from the first battle. These were humanity's true warships, built for one purpose: offensive operations deep in enemy territory. Show them what Project Excalibur can do, Commander Khan ordered. The human ships unleashed their primary weapons, gravity lances that could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. The technology was based on decades of research into black hole manipulation, weaponized in ways that the Kraxan had never imagined possible. Inside the UN's new orbital headquarters, Director Harrison addressed the emergency session. For centuries, we feared we were alone in the universe. When we discovered we weren't, we prepared not just for invasion, but for victory. The battle unfolded across the solar system as the Kraxan fleet tried to adapt to humanity's impossible tactics. But every countermeasure they attempted had been anticipated and planned for decades in advance. Sir, Zextar's sensor officer called out in panic. We're detecting massive energy signatures from the outer system. The rings of Saturn began to move, revealing themselves as an enormous particle accelerator array that humanity had built in plain sight. The ice and rock that appeared to make up the rings were actually millions of linked quantum processors, forming the largest weapon system ever created. All ships, emergency evasive action, Zextar commanded, but it was too late. The Saturn ring array fired, releasing a concentrated beam of exotic particles that twisted through space in ways that defied conventional physics. Where it struck, cracks in ships simply ceased to exist. Their matter converted into energy that was immediately captured and redirected back into Earth's defense systems. Walsh's voice transmitted across all frequencies. You thought you were invading a primitive world. Instead, you've attacked a species that has spent its entire existence preparing for war. Even our wars against ourselves were practice for this moment. The Ghost Fleet moved with perfect precision, their formations shifting in patterns that seemed random but were actually guided by predictions so advanced they appeared to see the future. Each human vessel was a testament to generations of military innovation, combining technologies that humanity had hidden from itself as much as from potential alien observers. We can't defeat them, Zextar realized with growing horror. Every tactic, every technology we possess, they've already developed counters for all of it. Commander Khan's voice was steady as he ordered the next phase. Deploy the Nemesis platforms. Around each human warship, swarms of autonomous drones emerged. But these weren't simple combat units. They were reality-hacking devices, capable of temporarily rewriting the laws of physics in localized areas. The technology had been developed from humanity's darkest weapons research, refined and perfected in secret underground facilities. The Kraxan fleet found itself fighting an enemy that could literally change the rules of engagement at will. Their weapons would miss targets that should have been impossible to evade. Their shields would fail against attacks that should have been easily deflected. This isn't a battle, Director Harrison observed from the Orbital Command Center. This is a demonstration. We're showing the galaxy what happens when you force humanity to reveal its full potential. As the Kraxan fleet began to crumble, Admiral Walsh transmitted the coordinates for their next target, the heart of the Kraxan Empire itself. We offered you peace, her message stated. You chose war. Now we'll show you why Earth's history of conflict has made us the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The battle concluded not with a decisive strike, but with a careful message. Walsh ordered her forces to allow a significant portion of the Kraxan fleet to escape. These survivors would carry word back to their empire of what they had witnessed and what was coming next. As the remaining Imperial ships fled into fold space, Commander Khan turned to Walsh. They'll fortify their core worlds now. They'll be expecting us. Walsh's smile was grim. Good. Because what they've seen today wasn't our full strength. It wasn't even close. Operation Stormbreaker was just the prelude. Now we begin the real campaign. The counter-invasion of Kraxan space was about to begin, and humanity was ready to unleash technologies that would reshape the understanding of what was possible in warfare. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth had survived countless near extinctions, because each crisis had only made humanity stronger. The heart of the Empire. The Kraxan homeworld of Crystallos hung like a jewel in space, its cities built from living crystal that pulsed with bioelectronic energy. In his fortress palace, Emperor Zarkax received the reports of Earth's unstoppable advance with growing dread. 17 systems had fallen in as many days, each defeat more devastating than the last. Impossible, he whispered, watching tactical displays showing another fleet being systematically dismantled by human forces. How could they have hidden such power? In the command ship Prometheus, Admiral Walsh studied holographic projections of the Kraxan capital system. Beside her, Dr. Indira Patel, Earth's leading xenotechnologist, analyzed real-time data streaming in from their quantum probes. Their entire civilization is built on crystalline technology, Dr. Patel explained, which is exactly why Project Glassbreaker will be so effective. Throughout human-controlled space, massive factories that had been hidden beneath ocean floors activated, producing swarms of microscopic machines designed to interface with and subvert Kraxan crystal tech. Every defeat the Empire had suffered was calculated to drive them back to their homeworld, where humanity's ultimate weapon would be most effective. Their pride will be their undoing, Commander Khan observed. They've retreated to their strongest fortress, not realizing they've walked into our trap. The Kraxan had concentrated their remaining forces around Crystallos, assembling a defensive fleet that darkened the skies. 300,000 ships, gathered from every corner of their empire, formed an impenetrable barrier around their capital world. Emperor Zarkax addressed his war council, his voice carrying the weight of 20 generations of absolute rule. Let them come. No force can breach the crystal ring of Crystallos. But humanity had no intention of breaching it, at least, not in the way the Kraxan expected. Initiate Project Glassbreaker, Walsh commanded. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. The human fleet appeared to do the impossible. They retreated. The Kraxan commanders celebrated what they thought was a victory, not realizing that the real attack had already begun weeks ago. Deep within Crystallos' crystal cities, the microscopic machines that had been seeded through their earlier battles began to activate. Each one was a quantum computer smaller than a human cell, programmed with one purpose: to rewrite the fundamental structure of Kraxan crystal technology. "Sir," a Kraxan technician called out in panic. "The city crystals, they're changing frequency." Throughout the capital, the living crystal that formed the backbone of their civilization began to resonate at new frequencies. The change was subtle at first. Communications became unreliable, defense systems flickered. Dr. Patel watched the data streams with satisfaction. The beautiful thing about crystalline technology is its uniformity. Change the resonance frequency of one crystal, and you change them all, Walsh finished. Signal the fleet. Begin final approach. The human armada emerged from fold space, but they didn't engage the Kraxan defense fleet. Instead, massive ships unlike anything seen before moved into position around the system. These were the harmonic amplifiers, weapons that had taken 50 years to design and build in secret facilities throughout Earth's solar system. All amplifiers, initiate resonance cascade, Walsh ordered. The devices activated, sending precisely calibrated energy waves through space. The waves themselves were harmless, unless you were a crystal-based life form or technology. Emperor Zarkax watched in horror as his impregnable defense fleet began to lose cohesion. The same crystalline technology that made their ships nearly indestructible now became their greatest weakness. Ships didn't explode or break apart. They simply stopped functioning as their crystal matrices realigned to new frequencies. "We spent decades studying your technology," Walsh's transmission echoed through every crystal in the system. "We learned how to speak to it, how to change it, how to control it. Your greatest strength has become your greatest vulnerability." The Kraxan defense fleet hung motionless in space. 300,000 ships transformed into beautiful but useless sculptures. On Crystallos, the city crystals hummed with new frequencies controlled by human quantum computers. "This is your final warning," Walsh announced. "Surrender, or we will demonstrate what true mastery of your technology means." To demonstrate their power, the humans activated a single resonance wave that caused every crystal on a small, uninhabited moon to shatter simultaneously. The message was clear. They could do the same to Crystallos itself. Emperor Zarkax, watching his empire's technology turn against him, finally understood. Humans hadn't just prepared for war, they had revolutionized warfare itself. Every battle, every defeat had been orchestrated to bring them to this moment. "How?" he transmitted to the human fleet. "How did you achieve this level of advancement in secret?" Walsh's response was simple: "We had help. And that's what you need to know before you decide your next move. There's something in this galaxy far more dangerous than either of our species. Something that's been watching us both. We didn't develop all this technology just to fight you." The Emperor's chambers fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't merely defeated them. They had been preparing for something far worse. The war that had seemed like an epic clash of civilizations was revealed to be something else entirely. A test run. "We offer peace again," Walsh transmitted. "Not out of mercy, but necessity. Because what's coming next will require both our species to survive." As the crystal cities of Crystallos hummed with human-controlled frequencies, Emperor Zarkax faced the most important decision in his species' history. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted, but more importantly, a truth too terrible to ignore had been revealed. The real war, it seemed, hadn't even begun. A new dawn. In the crystal throne room of Crystallos, Emperor Zarkax stood before a holographic projection of Admiral Walsh. The human commander's image floated above the crystal dais, a symbol of how completely the power dynamic had shifted. "Show me," the Emperor demanded. "Show me what could be so terrible that it drove your species to such extraordinary preparations." Walsh nodded to Dr. Patel, who transmitted a data package through the newly established quantum network. The crystal walls of the throne room came alive with images that made the Emperor's mandibles click in horror. "We call them the Void Hunters," Walsh explained. "We detected their probe ships 30 years ago, moving through the darkness between galaxies. They don't conquer worlds, they consume them. And they're coming." The images showed entire solar systems being systematically disassembled, their matter converted into energy by technology that made both human and Craxan achievements seem primitive by comparison. The Void Hunters weren't just another spacefaring race. They were living weapons created by something far older than either of their civilizations. "When we first detected your empire's expansion," Dr. Patel continued, "we had a choice. We could reveal ourselves, try to form an alliance, or we could wait, prepare, and use your inevitable invasion attempt as a testing ground for our defensive technologies." In orbit above Crystallos, the combined fleets of humanity and the Craxan Empire now floated side by side. The crystalline ships, restored to functionality by human quantum controllers, gleamed alongside the dark, sleek vessels of Earth's armada. "Your crystal technology," Walsh explained, "is actually far more advanced than you realized. We discovered ways to use it that your scientists never imagined. Combined with our quantum innovations, it might give us a fighting chance against what's coming." Commander Khan brought up new tactical displays showing the approach vector of the Void Hunters. "They'll reach the outer rim of the galaxy in less than 5 years. We've been tracking their harvest pattern. Both our civilizations are directly in their path." The Emperor's advisors studied the data with growing understanding. What had seemed like humanity's impossible technological leap was revealed to be the result of desperate innovation driven by knowledge of an approaching apocalypse. "The Atlas units," one advisor noted, "they weren't built to fight us at all, were they?" "No," Walsh confirmed. "They're mobile evacuation centers, designed to preserve as much of our civilizations as possible if our defense fails. Every technology we developed had dual purposes: weapons that could be converted into survival tools, warships that could become arcs." In the depths of space, automated human probes continued to monitor the Void Hunters' approach. These mysterious entities moved like a plague through the cosmos, leaving nothing but empty space in their wake. They weren't interested in conquest or resources. Their goal appeared to be the systematic elimination of all complex life. "We offer more than peace," Walsh continued. "We offer partnership. Your crystal technology, combined with our quantum innovations, could be the key to survival. But we need to begin preparations immediately." Emperor Zarkax moved to a crystal window overlooking his capital city. The same human technology that had brought his empire to its knees could now be their salvation. "You could have told us this from the beginning," he noted. "Would you have believed us?" Walsh asked. "Would you have accepted our warnings without proof of our capabilities? Sometimes the only way to forge true respect is through demonstration of power." The Emperor turned back to the hologram. "What do you propose?" The next hours were filled with plans that would reshape both civilizations. Humanity's hidden shipyards would be combined with Craxan crystal forges. The quantum AI networks that had coordinated Earth's defense would be merged with the living crystal matrices of Craxan cities, creating a hybrid technology more powerful than either species had wielded alone. "There will be those who resist this alliance," Commander Khan warned. "On both sides." "Let them resist," Walsh responded. "We don't have time for ancient prejudices. The void between stars is no longer empty, and what lurks there cares nothing for our petty conflicts." As the plans were finalized, new construction began throughout both territories. The same factories that had built weapons of war now turned to creating defensive systems on a scale never before attempted. The rings of Saturn, revealed to be more than just a weapon, began to pulse with new energy as they were converted into a galactic early warning system. "We have 5 years," Walsh announced to the combined council of human and Craxan leaders. 5 years to prepare for an enemy that has never been defeated. But they've never encountered anything like what we can build together. Emperor Zarkax raised his crystalline staff, its frequencies now harmonizing with human quantum fields. Then let us show these void hunters what happens when they threaten not one civilization, but two acting as one. The war that had seemed to end in conquest instead became a prelude to something far greater. Humanity and the Kraxen would face the approaching darkness not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals forged in the crucible of conflict. As the combined fleets began their preparations, Admiral Walsh looked out at the vast arrays of ships, crystalline and quantum-powered vessels moving in perfect harmony. "We spent centuries learning the art of war," she mused. "Now we'll see if we can learn the art of survival." The galaxy was changing. The Void Hunters were coming. But they would find something unexpected waiting for them. Two civilizations that had turned their weapons of war into tools of salvation, their conflict into cooperation, their fear into determination. The real test was about to begin.